Hey, RetconRaider here, with special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Matthew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Eerie V23, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Nathan Welch Jr., RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As today, our dragon hunt begins in earnest. And while I did embark on this whole thing with some trepidation, after 3 encounters with Devara in rapid succession, I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. She did catch us off guard that first time around, unbuffed and unprepared. But that second fight we did much better, and the third one we just trounced her, so yeah, now that she's actually wounded and weakened, we should have no problem with this whatsoever. Though, of course, we do still have to track her down first. Speaking of which, the ground is covered in fresh dragon blood and deep claw marks. The winged silhouette soars high up into the night sky and heads east, doubtless towards her lair. The assassin gives the commander a thumbs up and throws his pack over his shoulder. The ambush was a success. Serious loss of blood, though not fatal, causes the dragon's heart to compensate by contracting more rapidly in order to oxygenate the muscles. This makes it more difficult for her to breathe, and weakens her wing capacity. The lack of oxygen then leads to convulsive seizures that force the dragon to descend for short rests. It takes her the entire night to travel the distance she could normally cover in a few hours. Neat. So we're headed east? Which means away from Blackwater. We'll worry about that later. Ah, there we go. That is a good bit of a ways east, all the way back towards Dresden. But let's get a move on. Nothing else for us out here. Sure, yeah. Yeah, we could use a warm-up. And some unscheduled loot and XP. Hey, look at that. We've still got Walgif stuff running. Man, I love Mythical Extended. There we go. It should be more than enough for a random encounter. Alright, what else have we got out here? I imagine we've got some archers lurking just out of sight. Let's not overextend too much. Hey, there we go. Yeah, one Abyssal Huntress. That makes sense. I imagine we have 1 or 2 more lurking. That's a very fine bow you've got there. I think I'll take it. Oh, you guys aren't even trying. Normal succubi haven't been a threat since late Act 1. Well, whoever's left is apparently... Oh, hi there. It's an ash giant. Yeah, that would explain the low initiative roll. Wait, that DC doesn't seem right. It's supposed to be a lot higher than that. Oh, yeah, it's supposed to be 24. Why is it proccing at 11? I'll definitely have to report that. 11 makes it almost completely useless against... Well, I mean, not completely useless, but definitely proccing far less than it should. Wow, Greyboar. I mean, granted, that was just a baseline Ash Giant. Again, strictly Act 1 stuff, but that's still a lot more damage output than I was expecting from him. Okay, moving on. Let's get back to that whole dragon thing. One sec, whilst I shuffle our primary legion. We're setting our sights on the skeletal battalion right near Canabras. And back to the main party. Bloody Trail. Dark splotches of dried blood are visible on the ground. Its foul, pungent scent awakens the predatory instinct of the hunt. Everything nearby is splattered in blood, as if a battle took place here, or someone slaughtered a herd of goats. Yet this blood belongs to neither human nor goat. Its sulfurous odor indicates that this is the blood of a rare, fire-breathing dragon. Injured and exhausted, the fleeing dragon stopped here to rest. The commander decides to personally examine the trail to impress the assassin. Because why would he not? Having examined the blood, the commander points confidently to the south. The dragon's lair is hidden somewhere among the mountain gorges. The dwarf, who's been watching him, nods in approval. He seems impressed by the commander's tracking skills. Man, Vex could have totally done this himself. But I guess it is good to have Greyboar in our crew. Alright, let's get some rest. We're getting a lot of skill checks, so we'll go ahead and switch off to a skill bonus recipe. Yeah, that's fine. Thankfully, my prolific purchasing has left us with no shortage of cooking ingredients.
Regil, if your commander ordered you to, say, get drunk on wine and proposition a pretty squire, would you, as a loyal soldier, be duty-bound to carry out the order without a second thought?
I would be duty-bound to report the commander, arrest him, and deliver him to be tried in a court-martial. We already had an incident where infiltrators were masquerading as our soldiers. We have a procedure for unmasking saboteurs.
Hey, Rental must be warming up to Darren, because otherwise he would never use that many words. Okay, so we've got skill bonus up. We'll do real buffs once we're inside. Oh. The commander and his followers are traversing the mountains, trying to track down the female wound worm that has lately been wreaking havoc around Dresden. The dwarf leading the party approaches the edge of the cliff and points down to the ruins of a tower built upon the rock 300 feet below. Its very existence raises a number of questions. Who would dare build a tower here, so close to the demons? Why would they erect it here at the bottom of a canyon? An expert analysis of the tower structure provides the answers. Numerous features in its design indicate that the building dates back to the golden age of the Aslanti Empire. It is several times older than the World Wound, and was originally constructed on top of a mountain, before the cataclysm changed everything. The tectonic plates shifted, causing the tower to sink to the bottom of a newly formed canyon, and the mountains rose up around it, like the jaws of a predator, ready to snap shut and bury it beneath the rock forever. The ancient ruins have been abandoned for years, barely visible amidst the steep cliffs. The tower would have remained hidden had the commander's party not discovered it by following the trail of blood. The dwarf signals that it is time to descend. The alpine path leading to the tower soon splits into two directions. On the left is a rocky ledge, dangerously narrow and visibly unstable. On the right is a broad path covered in overgrown brambles and thickets. There are many poisonous plants in these mountains, some of which are so dangerous that merely touching them can lead to numerous adverse reactions. These include, but are not limited to, migraines, disorientation, vomiting, hearing and vision loss, paralysis, and even death. The commander assesses the risks and... How is this even a question? Vex is a master hunter and no stranger to suspicious bushes. Inappropriate. We will forge our way through the flora. The commander decides to take the path to the right, which leads through thick foliage and overgrown bushes. It is most likely full of dangerous vegetation, and possibly even carnivorous plants. These plants are difficult to distinguish from their less hazardous counterparts, and only a skilled botanist or a wild animal native to the area might know which specimens pose no threat to humans, and which ones must be avoided at all costs. The commander orders the most knowledgeable member of the party to lead the way. Himself. He will be able to recognize the poisonous plants and warn the others. Vex Godglove's extensive botanical knowledge allows the party to get past the poisonous bushes without touching the blood-sucking vines that obstruct the path. Then, the path comes to an abrupt end. A recent rockslide has destroyed this section of the trail, leaving behind only a few footholds for those brave enough to attempt the crossing. The commander's allies hastily tie themselves together with rope, hoping to prevent a fall if anyone loses their footing. The dwarf silently indicates his mountaineering equipment. If they choose to climb down the mountain cliff, they will be able to get back onto the path and avoid the dangers ahead. The commander orders the most agile of his party, himself, to carefully lead the rest down the slope, using the ledges as footholds. You know, I've got to say, it is nice to occasionally get a reminder that Vex is actually good at things that aren't murder. The commander and his companions descend lower and lower, leaping from one ledge to another. Thanks to his combat expertise and presence of mind, Vex does not panic or make a single mistake. He skillfully leads his followers across the treacherous terrain, and eventually they reach a secure rock ledge. With a cry of warning, the dwarf points to the sky. Giant birds of prey circle ominously overhead, Their beak morphology indicates their carnivorous nature, and their large size suggests that they consider those climbing down the cliff to be prospective prey. It is common for them to fling their quarry against the cliffs, then feed on the broken carcasses. With ear-piercing shrieks, they swoop into formation and dive down to attack. The commander gives the order to... Oh, please. We've got Kaz with us. The last thing we're worried about are birds. Vex pulls out a knife and runs the blade over the stones. The metal makes a grating sound, and the birds fly away in fright. It is the same sound that their sworn enemies, mountain cats, make when they sharpen their hard claws on the rocks. Then I assume Kaz pounces on them and eats them. The party overcomes every obstacle and finally descends to the ruined tower. The mountain has been conquered, and no one has fallen victim to its treachery. Now they secretly approach the unsuspecting dragon, stealthily making their way through the surrounding rocks. After leading them to the tower, the dwarf gives his newfound allies a nod of respect and signals for caution. Fantastic. From the tracks, I can tell that this is not the dragon's permanent lair, but merely a temporary refuge. Well, Greybore, be that as it may, there's still a dragon inside, so... Let's hit the pause button real quick, we'll get a full battery of buffs set up, and then we'll do this thing. We'll be right back. And we are back, fully buffed and ready to go. Let us proceed along this precarious trail as we seek the end of our dragon tale. Hey, storyteller. Let's try to get as close as we can to the dragon without making any noise. Then we'll take it by surprise. Greybore whispers approvingly. We've crept up on the toothy old lizard without her noticing us. It's a pleasure to work with real professionals. Let's get a little closer so we can attack when she least expects it. The dragon looms over an old elf, her vicious teeth bared in an angry snarl. You recognize his face. He is called the Storyteller. I know you're in league with those little parasites who wounded me. They sent you to spy on me. They thought I wouldn't crave the crunch of your old bones. Ha! They were wrong. I've always had a special liking for the taste of elven flesh. But I do love to play with my food. What can you offer me in exchange for your pathetic life? Perhaps I won't kill you if you manage to impress me. I just realized she has 6 legs. The Storyteller is pale as a ghost, but he stands strong and doesn't lose his nerve, though his voice trembles slightly as he speaks. A story? Stories are all I have, but some of them are priceless, more valuable than any treasure. This I can offer you in payment. I have a peculiar item on me. Its previous owner was quite sinister, so I think you'll appreciate this story. The Storyteller produces a small bundle from his bag and opens it to reveal a golden signet ring. As he holds it up in his shaking hands, the old man's voice suddenly changes. His tone grows shrill and angry, taking on an exaggerated quality, as if doing a mocking imitation of someone else. Everything in this throne room is so cheap and vulgar. Jamandi Aldori knows nothing about luxury, another sorry provincial excuse for an aristocrat. And yet I still must bow my head and smile politely at these sword-wagging half-wits. These poor souls have never known anything more luxurious in their life than this rural parody of a palace. I must convince them that I am at their mercy. Ha! Soon they all will be begging me for mercy. But I'll see that they're given none, or my name isn't Tartuccio. And look at these foolish idiots who want to become a baron. What a parade of louts! The whining, bumbling boor, more beard than face, who drones on and on. An insolent, unwashed wench carrying around a dull gardening tool as her weapon of choice. An undead sadist carrying an endless amount of emotional baggage from her childhood. She's actually all right, to be fair. But as for the infuriating halfling who never shuts up, how I long to take that little journal of hers and shove it into her blabbering mouth so she'll choke on it and be quiet. A worthless creature who clings like a limpet to someone far more important. My greatest rival. A dark horse. Well, consider this entire performance dedicated to you. The old elf is out of breath, and his diminishing voice becomes harder to discern. I love this. Oh, Tartuccio, buddy. I miss you. Though to be fair, I think we were pretty much done with him at the point we paused the Kingmaker campaign. His role in the game was woefully short. Would have been great if he was a full-fledged companion, though, reading this, you can obviously tell why he wasn't. Not the sort of guy who plays well with others. It is fun to get this kind of callback to Kingmaker, though, after they've spent so much time kind of dancing around it. Based on the context, that ring is actually the +1 ring that Tartuccio gives the player in order to frame them as the person who arranged the attack on Giemza's mansion. This night will be long and bloody. The mercenaries will storm the palace and kill this useless rabble, hopefully starting with all my rivals. But they won't touch me, for I possess a token of immunity. A ring with King Iravetti's personal coat of arms. After all, it is I who must lead the expedition into the stolen lands. Not for stupid titles or glory, oh no. Ha! Imagine becoming that fool Giemza's bootlicker until the end of your life. No, my precious witless little soldiers will procure something a lot more valuable than a barony in the middle of nowhere. Something precious is hidden in the stolen lands. A wooden sword created by someone who was truly powerful. Nothing like the pathetic scraps of metal worn by these pompous Aldori simpletons. No, it is a true instrument of fate. It's a pity I don't know how to use it myself, but King Iravetti will pay me an obscene amount of money for it. Fortune enough for an eternity of endless debauchery. Not to mention the little bonus he'll give me for Giemza's venture collapsing like a house of cards. Merely a trifle, really. Barely buys you a palace in Absalom. And then... Oh, Calistria. The stinkpot with a sword has started flapping her jaws again. Why can't she just shut up? Her manners are worse than a kobold's. Be careful now, Tartuccio. Don't let anything slip about Giemza. I hope this loudmouth gets stabbed tonight. The storyteller's voice grows louder and sharper. It's not like you're being kept prisoner. If you don't want to wait, you can always return to the mountains or whatever other place you crawled out from. I especially advise you to do so if you don't know who the Aldori Sword Lords are. The dragon keeps quiet. Finally she speaks, her voice loud and demanding. How interesting. What happened next? Greybor tenses, ready to spring. He wastes no words. She's thinking. She's distracted. Attack, now! I'd actually kind of like to keep listening to the story, but yeah, I guess we should do what we came here for. Mind if I cut in? The dragon turns towards you in astonishment. What? You again? You sent this miserable old dotard to distract me with his chatter, while you sneak up on me? No, it's really more just a happy coincidence. Anyway, die please.
is not an option.
You wounded me, followed me here, and now you've cornered me in my lair like a mindless beast. Curse you all! Sorry. Okay, so she's slightly weaker than she was before, but not by much. We, however, are much stronger than we were before. And are now also hasted. Yeah, you know you're really having a bad day when Waldjif actually starts landing hits on you. And yes, that savings throw is definitely set wrong. I beg you, don't let her set the tower on fire. I must learn more about this place, then study the books that are inside. Once I'm finished with you, I will pay a visit to your pathetic town and burn it to the ground. Dresden will burn. Yeah, real scary stuff. I'm gonna kill you now. Oh, Graveborn. Get off me, you vile parasites! Don't let the dragon get off the ground! She'll set everything on fire! Yes, let us pursue our prey.
Surrender, or else!
And killed her so fast we didn't even go back into combat mode. My goodness. Greybor looks with satisfaction at the surrounding carnage. That's a job well done. You can use her head to decorate your tent. I'm going back to Dresden. It's been a pleasure working with you. You know, it doesn't have to end here. I feel like we worked together pretty well.
I'm ready to offer you my services. As you can guess, a full contract will be more expensive than a one-time job. I think 12,500 gold would be a fair price.
The dwarf nods politely. I don't know, man. I feel like I did most of the heavy lifting there. But on the other hand, I suppose asking Greybor to work for free isn't exactly going to endear us with him. So, you know, we will strike a middle ground. I don't think it's in Vex's nature to offer him more than he's asked. But as a mercenary, I think Vex... I mean, obviously, Vex thinks he's better than Greybor, and he is. But Greybor did okay, and he's been nothing but courteous with Vex, so I think he would accept that price without haggling. As one professional to another. Welcome to the winning team.
From now on, you no longer need to worry about someone making an attempt on your life. If anyone tries, I'll send them straight to their grave.
The dwarf nods, matter-of-factly. Well, I do appreciate that. I wonder if that will actually alter any future events of that nature. I mean, I have to assume at some point someone out there will send assassins after us. Especially with the way Vex is running things. Half of the pair. Arsino has the other half. Back in Dresden. Whenever two creatures wearing the different halves of this pendant are within 10 feet of each other, they both get +2 circumstance bonuses on attack rolls and AC. Interesting. That's not terrible. At least for riders, since they'd always, in theory, be within 10 feet of each other. The downside being that you would be swapping out the Amulet of Mighty Bitey which can go all the way up to +5 and adds to damage. Though with Greater Magic Fang, that might actually still be worth it.
This is my kind of work.
Though this magic trap is now old and dysfunctional after centuries of disuse, it would have once irreversibly blinded any thief who gazed upon it. Ah, yes. Runes of Eyeball Implosion. That's a classic. This inscription once contained a spell of warning. When an intruder appeared, it would let out a chilling howl to raise the alarm. Fortunately, the enchantment has worn off with the passage of time, so your ears have been spared. Bracers of Abrupt Onslaught. +5 competence bonus on trickery, and +1d6 bludgeoning on sneak attacks. Which you'd think would make them ideal for Walgif, but I believe he actually already has competence bonuses on trickery from other gear. So really, he'd be losing skill points and AC, since he'd be dropping his current bracers. That aside, I think it's pretty safe to say that Vex could definitely get more mileage out of that bonus sneak attack damage. Yeah, we'll swap those out. We'll have to make sure we hold on to the lucky bracers, though. I have been told several times that those are apparently very important. I've also been told the Crystal Dagger from Act 1 was important, but a bit late for that one. This inscription is written in an archaic elven script. You recognize the words, "Stranger's Home," "I see you," and "I implore Calistria." It appears to be some kind of protective spell against thieves, but it has lost its power over the years. So, an ancient elven tower that predates the World Wound, and just happens to be outfitted with runes of eyeball implosion. I wonder if that has anything to do with our favorite ancient blind elf over here. Please, search the bookshelves. Bring me anything written in ancient elven runes. I need them. Yeah, I'll bet you do. And there we go. Elven notes. We've actually got a few of those to give him. Within the pedestal, a faint purple glow emanates from a crystal-shaped hole. Its edges are chipped and cracked, suggesting that whatever it contained has been forcibly removed. Really now? Well, that is intriguing, considering that pretty much all the promotional artwork of Arilu Vorlesh generally has her surrounded by mysterious purple crystals. Not to mention the purple crystal dagger from Act 1, which again was apparently important. I wish we'd held on to that thing. Though I have been reassured that we can also do without it. Demon blood. Looks to be a crafting ingredient. And we've got a lower area. Let's have a quick chat with the storyteller before we check that out. Have you found what I asked of you? Splendid. Let's get out of this place as soon as possible. All this smoke makes it difficult to breathe. We'll meet in Dresden. Okay, if you insist, buddy. I feel like a blind old man wandering through the world wound alone might not be the best of ideas, but what's the worst that could possibly happen? He said to the guy who had blindly walked into a dragon's lair. Okay, let's have a peek downstairs. Enraged Mandragora. Nothing to worry about, I think. Oh, hey, back rank assistance triggered. Nah, I think we're good. Let's get some distractions on the field. Nice. Thank you, helpful. Very helpful.
Careful now.
Oh, hush. You'll be fine. Oh. Light ding on Vex. Oh man, these guys actually have a higher AC than the dragon did. So I may have slightly underestimated them.
Cover me, all right?
It's fine. I think we're okay. I mean, the dragon went down easy too. Oh. Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Simply business.
Nice. Very nice.
You know what you're doing. Good.
So what's our reward for that fight? Half the party just disappeared. I think we may have just fallen through terrain. Okay, so we got a lesser kineticist rod, completely useless to us. That's designed for kineticists, so it's just sales fodder for us. Let's get out of here before we break something. Hey, we're back. How you doing over there, Devara? Still dead? That's good. Alright, I think we're done here. Let us be on our way. We'll teleport back to Dresden, and then I think we'll close things out with a quick chat with the storyteller. Oh yeah, we're almost at time. Home again, home again. Bliggity blue. Oh, did we never... You know what? We never turned in the Winter Sun quest. And we have to turn in the Dragon quest too, so... Let's go have a chat with Irabeth. Irabeth? Irabeth salutes you with sincere respect. Good afternoon, Commander. What can I do for you? Well, I found out what happened to our missing patrols. Turns out they were slaughtered by ensorcelled Winter Sunnians, under the sway of a vile space moth. Survivors from Sarkarus? In the middle of the world wound? They must be made of tough stuff. I'm sorry they've been set against us. Irabeth grits her teeth. And sorrier still for our soldiers. We're losing our people to demon trickery again. But at least the mystery is solved, and it won't happen again. Oh, and also, you can go ahead and check that dragon off the to-do list. She is very thoroughly done. That's one less problem to contend with. Now we can take the extra lookouts off dragon duty, and reassign them to more useful tasks. Excellent work, Commander. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty great. See ya, Beth. You guys have anything for me? I guess not. Okay, let's go wrap things up with a storyteller. The The blind elf whispers something under his breath. Hearing your steps, he turns to you slowly. Greetings, Vex Godglove. Have you brought me a new story? Actually, I was hoping you could tell me a story, old man, about how you ended up in a dragon's lair, of all places. Ah, yes, I'm sure you do. You're wondering how I ended up there and why I wasn't killed. Am I right? Yeah, that is pretty much what I just said. But you know what, let's skip by the how and go right to the why. Why were you there? I've been looking for a certain tower for several years now, and in that place I had a strange feeling of recognition. It seems that tower once belonged to me, a long time ago. Knowing my habits, I assumed that some records or other items that could answer the questions about my past may have remained in my home. Unfortunately, I realized too late that the tower was now the lair of a monster. Yeah, how'd you, survive that, anyway? Despite their beastly tempers, dragons are clever creatures, but their way of life does not lend itself to civilized conversation, which is why they do sometimes enjoy a good chat. And even more, a good story. That was what saved me. I had to share a few of my stories with the dragon, hoping to win her over. Or, at least, distract her. Well, it certainly did distract her, and for that, I thank you. So, did you find anything? The storyteller nods politely. Yes, thanks to you, the dragon didn't have time to burn everything. I found the memories of my previous life, which I had forgotten long ago. Once again, please accept my gratitude for the miraculous rescue. I hope I never again have cause to meet a creature as voracious as that dragon. Well, I'm just glad you're still alive, buddy. You know, I found this note out in the Molten Scar, and it had me thinking you might have gotten yourself et. Here, why don't you have a look at this thing? Maybe you can tell me who it actually was. The storyteller cringes and puts his hand on the bloodstained page. His face contorts into a painful grimace, his voice trembling with terror. No, he is here again. That terrible, grating voice. The horrific semblance of a face, the monstrous appearance. Myriad insects forming a body with 2 arms and 2 legs. He touches me, and the disgusting creatures attack my flesh, covering me. They are eating me. They are hungry and will devour everything except my eyes and tongue, so that I can see this damned page, so that I can translate the runes written in the ancient, long-forgotten elven language. And I translate. It hurts so much. I tried to lie to him. I changed the translation, but he saw through my lie. He got angry. Now, I'm not lying. I'm not. He takes one of the insects from my face and squishes it with his fingers over the inkwell. Then he dips the quill in it and writes with my blood right over the runes. And I continue to dictate. Callistria, when will this be over? Let me die! Xanthir, let me die! The storyteller jerks back his hand, terrified. Oh, gods! Such horrible torture! This poor man was tortured to decrypt my notes. He was so tormented that his suffering became thick like molasses. My mind is drowning in it. My own memories are hidden by these images of horror. I can try to get through to them, but I will need your help. Tell me everything you've seen and heard. I will try to lean on your words, to use them as a light in the darkness of my forgotten past. The storyteller takes the bloodstained page carefully, as though handling a dangerous insect. I see a magic shape. There is a force pulsating in the center. You've seen the ritual. Tell me, what was its central point, its magic knot? Oh yeah, there was a circle. There was a circle which they brought a prisoner to the center of. Right. That's how they transformed Wallard and Tomasz. The storyteller shivers. Yes, a storm of force spiraling into a sharp knife, and a living soul inside in the eye of the whirlwind. There must be a living soul, for the knife is just a tool. The energies are too bright. I can't see through the glare. What did you see during the ritual? What was it like? A rift, like the world wound, but on a smaller scale. Yes, a rift. An umbilical cord connecting the worlds, allowing not only sentient creatures, but planar energies to travel through it. I remember it. And the sound, I remember the sound. Words appealing to some force. Those performing the ritual, did they utter some incantations? They did indeed. They repeated the word Ravuk. I remember shouting that very loudly. The old elf is out of breath, overwhelmed by memories. Ravuk! No name! An old word of tremendous power. The language to which it belongs died a long time ago, but the power of this word lives on. In the past, wizards used it in rituals when they intended to do something far-reaching and contrary to the natural order of things. By hiding their names, they protected themselves from the consequences and the wrath of the gods. Ravuk, I have no name. You will not find me. The storyteller trembles as if he's about to fall. Now I remember. I know where I saw this ritual. Part of it. I am one step closer to understanding what happened to me. Thank you. If you find more pages like this, please bring them to me. Maybe by putting them together, I will be able to lift the veil on the mystery surrounding my story. Well, this is fascinating. I already had some suspicions after we found that trace of a purple crystal back in the tower, which we now know belonged to the storyteller. But this pretty much confirms that the storyteller is in some way tied to the origin of the world wound, or at the very least was trying to emulate similar experiments, albeit on a smaller scale, because the spell that the Vrock was casting, I forget her name now, but yeah, the spell that she was casting was also opening a forced portal between the realms, and allowing the planar energy to leak through into the prime material plane, much in the same way that the world wound does. I suppose now the big question is whether he is inextricably linked to the creation of the world wound, to Arilu's experiments, or if he was just researching along parallel paths. Perhaps he's the one who inadvertently inspired Arilu to further those experiments, because, right, he would have existed before Arilu did, in his efforts perhaps to recreate or restore the world post-cataclysm. Maybe he performed some sort of egregious experiments using that Ravuk word to evade the wrath of the gods, but eventually, for whatever reason, gave up on it or forgot about it or something like that, only to have Arilu, centuries later, pick up his research and keep running with it, but for her own ends, as opposed to whatever the storyteller might have originally been trying to accomplish. There's a lot to mull over there. Though it still leaves a lot of questions, not the least of which is what exactly those mysterious purple crystals are that seem to fuel this whole thing. Again, I really wish we had held on to that purple crystal dagger. That could probably help us. We'll have to make sure we hold on to any other purple crystals we encounter during our travels. That said, we are past time, so I feel like this is a good place to call it. Obviously, we still have some business with the storyteller. We have to hand over notes and relics and such. But we'll save that for next time. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of our off-screen bookkeeping, make up a little list, and then we'll get that knocked out next time and plot out our next grand adventure. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official websites. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon, or the new YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
We have a procedure for unmasking saboteurs.